The mail sat untouched. Days turned into a week. At the Hinterkaifeck farmstead, silence had fallen like a shroud. Neighbors, their worry growing with each passing hour, decided to investigate. What they found on that cold April day in 1922 would forever etch the name Hinterkaifeck into the annals of true crime. 6 bodies, brutally slain, lay scattered throughout the property. Andreas Gruber, the patriarch, was found in the barn. His wife Casilia and their widowed daughter Victoria, along with her 2 young children, lay lifeless in the farmhouse. Even the family maid Maria Baumgartner had not been spared. Each victim had been killed with chilling precision, their skulls caved in by a mattock. The scene was one of unimaginable horror, a macabre tableau that defied explanation. The discovery sent shockwaves through the small Bavarian community. Who could have committed such a heinous act, and why? These questions hung heavy in the air, the answers seemingly lost amidst the blood-soaked hay and the chilling silence of the Hinterkaifeck farm. Imagine a place so remote, so cut off from the outside world, that the only sounds you hear are the rustling leaves and the distant barking of dogs. This was Hinterkaifeck, a small farmstead nestled in the desolate Bavarian countryside, miles from the nearest village. Surrounded by dense forests and winding dirt roads, it was a place where isolation was a way of life. The nearest neighbors were a 30-minute walk away, their homes barely visible through the thick trees. The Grubbs lived a solitary existence, their world confined to the boundaries of their farm. They worked the land, tended to their animals, and kept to themselves. Few visitors ever ventured to Hinterkaifeck, and even fewer stayed long. This isolation, while peaceful in many ways, also made the Grubbs vulnerable. There were no witnesses, no watchful eyes to deter any potential threats. In this secluded corner of Bavaria, darkness could descend quickly, both literally and figuratively, and on that fateful night in 1922, darkness descended upon Hinterkaifeck, bringing with it a horror that would forever stain the soul of this once peaceful farm. Andreas Gruber, the family patriarch, was a man of few words, a figure who commanded respect and instilled a sense of discipline in those around him, and even fewer smiles. His stern demeanor and gruff exterior hid a man deeply devoted to his family, even if he struggled to express it. His presence was a constant reminder of the hard work and resilience required to sustain their way of life. Casilia, his wife, was the heart of the household, known for her warmth and kindness. She was the glue that held the family together, her gentle nature providing a stark contrast to Andreas's severity. Despite the hardships of farm life, she brought a sense of joy and stability to Hinterkaifeck. Her laughter and nurturing spirit were the bedrock upon which the family relied. Their daughter, Victoria Gabriel, was a young widow still reeling from the loss of her husband in World War I. The war had left her with a deep sense of sorrow, yet she remained resilient. She found solace in caring for her 2 young children, 7-year-old Casilia and 2-year-old Joseph. Her love for them was evident in every tender gesture and protective glance. The children brought laughter and life to the often somber farmhouse. Their innocent joy and playful antics were a beacon of light in the family's otherwise challenging existence. Rounding out the family was Maria Baumgartner, the maid, who had only started working at the farm a few hours before the murders. Her arrival was meant to ease the household's burdens, but fate had other plans. Life at Hinterkaifeck was simple, their days filled with the rhythms of farm work. Each member had their role, contributing to the family's survival and well-being. They were a family bound by blood, by hardship, and by the isolation of their existence. Their shared struggles forged a bond that was both strong and fragile. Little did they know that their peaceful world was about to be shattered by an act of unimaginable violence. The tranquility of Hinterkaifeck would soon be replaced by a haunting silence, forever altering the course of their lives. The exact details of that horrific night remain shrouded in mystery, cloaked in an unsettling fog that has never lifted. What is known is that the killer lured the Grubbs to the barn one by one, under the guise of some sinister plan, where they were brutally murdered with a mattock, a tool meant for farming but turned into an instrument of death. Andreas was likely the first victim, his life snuffed out in an instant, followed by his wife, Kazilia, who met a similarly gruesome fate. Victoria and her daughter, Kazilia, were likely killed next, their final moments filled with unimaginable terror, their bodies found huddled together in the farmhouse, as if seeking comfort in their last moments. Little Josef, still in his crib, was the last to die, his life cruelly cut short before it even began. The killer then took the time to gather the bodies and lay them out in the farmhouse, arranging them with a disturbing precision as if posing them for some macabre display, a twisted tableau of death. The brutality of the crime, the sheer savagery of the acts, the methodical way in which it was carried out, left an indelible mark on the community, sent chills down the spines of even the most hardened investigators who had never seen anything like it. But the horror didn't end there. The nightmare continued to unfold. Evidence suggested that the killer lingered at the farm for several days after the murders. They fed the cattle, ate the family's food as if they belonged there, and even wound the cuckoo clock, maintaining a facade of normalcy amidst the chaos. It was as if the killer was trying to maintain the illusion of normalcy, playing house in the midst of the carnage they had created, creating a chilling juxtaposition between the everyday and the horrific, a haunting reminder of the evil that had visited that night. The idea that the killer remained at Hinterkaifeck after the murders is perhaps the most chilling aspect of this case. The very thought sends shivers down the spine, knowing that the perpetrator was lurking in the shadows undetected. It speaks to a level of depravity and a complete disregard for human life that is almost beyond comprehension. The killer's actions were not just brutal, but also disturbingly calculated. The killer moved freely about the farm, tending to chores and going about their business as if nothing had happened. They seamlessly blended into the daily routine, masking the horror that had unfolded. They slept in the grubs' beds, ate their food, and even cared for their livestock. This eerie normalcy in the face of such violence is what makes the case so haunting. The image of the killer sitting down to a meal surrounded by the bodies of their victims is enough to make one's blood run cold. It's a scene straight out of a nightmare where the line between sanity and madness blurs. It paints a picture of a psyche so twisted, so detached from reality, that it defies any rational explanation. The killer's mind was a labyrinth of darkness, where empathy and remorse had no place. This detail, more than any other, has fueled countless theories and speculations over the years. Investigators and historians alike have been baffled, trying to piece together the motives and identity of the killer. Who could have committed such a horrific act and then calmly carry on with their life as if nothing had happened? The question lingers, unanswered, casting a long shadow over the case. Was it someone the Grubs knew and trusted, someone who felt comfortable enough in their home to stay there for days after the murders? The familiarity of the killer with the household routines suggests a chilling possibility. Or was it a stranger, a drifter passing through, who saw an opportunity to disappear into the isolation of Hinterkaifeck? The remote location of the farm made it an ideal hideout for someone looking to evade capture, adding another layer of mystery to this already perplexing case. Despite a thorough investigation, the Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved to this day. Police interviewed over 100 suspects, but no concrete leads ever materialized. Rumors and speculations swirled through the nearby villages, but no one came forward with any definitive information. The isolation that had once defined life at Hinterkaifeck now hampered the investigation. There were no witnesses, no one to provide an alibi or corroborate a story. The killer had vanished into thin air, leaving behind a trail of blood and unanswered questions. Over the years, the case has been revisited numerous times, with modern forensic techniques applied to the evidence. But despite these efforts, the identity of the killer remains a mystery. The passage of time has only deepened the enigma of Hinterkaifeck, leaving us with more questions than answers.